As I previously said, it's hard for me to surmise what happened in the week gone, but knowing me, I'd lose sight of my head if it wasn't attached to my body. We capture the events as they unfold and in unparalleled perspective. Put your finger on the pulse with Darpan's local news.
In the headlines today, the debate over the soaring rates in the Auckland region continues to draw criticism from political circles and prominent members of the public. All vehicles are to be banned from the summit of Mount Eden, Mongafau, under a plan to protect one of Auckland's main archaeological, geological and cultural sites in one of its most popular destinations. 2 senior Auckland City councillors and 2 officers are off to a waterfront conference in Glasgow following a political free-for-all over the issue of overseas travel at a time of double-digit rates increases. National leader Don Brash has been accused of racism following his call for a ban on migrants who don't hold bedrock New Zealand values. The Indian Nobel laureate Rabindranath Tagore and Bangladesh's national poet Qazi Nazrul Islam are the inspiration behind an evening of Bengali opera held on Sunday last. The Going Bananas Multiple Identities Forum at the Auckland University of Technology drew a crowd of around 200, which is noticeably younger and more ethnically diverse than last year's conference. And India's 59th Independence Day was celebrated in many parts of Auckland with great fervour and enthusiasm. Now for the news in detail. The debate over the soaring rates in the Auckland region continues to draw criticism from political circles and prominent members of the public. While Auckland Mayor Dick Hubbard has spent thousands of dollars of his own money to make an impassioned plea in favour of hefty rate rises in the city, this year's residential rate increase of 13.4%, the issue has prompted vociferous and widespread protests.
It's a painting of a picture. I wanted, in my words, to paint the picture of where I see Auckland going and what we're doing. In other words, showing the journey ahead and then saying to people, look, I want you to join me on this journey to create a better Auckland for the future for our children and our grandchildren.
We're brought in the rates rebate scheme, which gives a rebate of up to $500 a year for people who are on fixed income. This particularly affects old people or people on a low wage. They should apply to MP's offices to get the forms to put in their rates rebate claim and put it into the council. That's one way we've recognised that some people are having trouble paying their rates.
The rates rises in the last 2 years under Mayor Hubbard and Deputy Mayor Haka and aided by Action Hobson and so on, those rates increases are absolutely outrageous. They're unnecessary, they're unfairly spread, and very often the income from the rates increases is being spent on politically correct, trendy agendas that are probably more the role of central government.
The central government has actually increased its contribution to local councils significantly over the last number of years. So really, we should be talking to the local councils about this issue.
In proportion, there is in reality a 1.9% real rate increase this year. That is compounded by a shift in valuations that we have no control over. And also the continued narrowing on a year-by-year basis over 10 years of the differential rate between the residential and the business community.
Tremendous stress and strain for people on fixed incomes in particular. So that falls on the elderly, it falls on people on lower incomes, and they're the ones having the great struggle. Even people who've got perhaps a very expensive house but don't have a lot of cash, they're finding it very difficult.
Why is the council allowed to do that? Why is the council allowed to prophesise their needs and just predict what they want and charge for it? You can't do that, and it's immoral and incorrect.
It's not giving enough money to Auckland for public transport infrastructure development. We need a huge amount of money for railway development, carriages, double tracking, new lines to have a proper rail network in Auckland. It can't just come out of rates. The government's got to stop diverting just about all the money into new motorway construction.
The public of Auckland should not be fooled as to who supports what events and who doesn't.
The councils in Auckland have become fixated on the view that the only way to raise money is by way of rates. And that is hugely unfair in a number of circumstances. First of all, there are far fewer ratepayers than there are citizens. About 450,000 ratepayers and about 1.2 million residents. At the moment, it's not fair, and I'm glad the public are screaming about it.
As if we make it too expensive for our businesses, it's also not very good for the growth of Auckland City.
We're really told that, at the end of the day, rates on property is the only real fair way or mechanism that we have to fund the city.
For the last 4 years, John Law, Rodney District Mayor, says he has been quite vocal in the need to change the way local government is funded. He says it's out of date and incapable of funding all the infrastructure requirements that are required in today's world. The government over the last year or two has announced extra pots of money to which local government can apply for extra funding.
What they're talking about is a rate increase of an average of 10%. So some people may be 5% and other people could be 25%. So certainly when the people that get 25% rate increase are the people you hear from them pretty quick, because they just cannot and we cannot sustain that sort of rate increase year after year.
John Law says ratepayers have had enough of the system and challenges the whole process. He questions why should ratepayers be the only people paying for roads? Roading should not come out of rates but go on the cost of petrol so that road users are paying. That would lower our rates by approximately 32%.
And I've been advocating since 2001 that actually the days of our current rating system are numbered, because it's an outdated way of funding our infrastructure and all the things we have to do as a community, because rates in principle are virtually saying that the people that will pay for our development are the people that own the land. Whereas, of course, 2/3 of our community are not landowners. We're going to really have a good look through new thinking of this whole issue and whether there is a better way of doing things.
All vehicles are to be banned from the summit of Mount Eden, or Mugafell, under a plan to protect one of Auckland's main archaeological, geological and cultural sites and one of its most popular destinations. The move extends an earlier Auckland City Council proposal to ban tourist buses from the summit. The mountain is eroding before our eyes, Mayor Dick Hubbard said at the launch of Project Mugafell, and he favours stopping all vehicles from driving to the top of the region's tallest volcano, a 196-metre cone.
Mugafell, as it was looking tired, was getting knocked around and needed a very, very major overhaul indeed. In fact, worn out and weary is the phrase that I used, and that just sums it up perfectly. I'll be coming along to the hearings. I won't be a commissioner myself, but I'll be trying to provide the appropriate drive to get the project on the way and through.
The big expenditure that's before Auckland is in the transport area, with things like Mount Eden. I live near Mount Eden or Mugafell, and the most urgent need there is just a walking track so that you can walk up from the bottom to the top.
Mount Eden attracts 1.2 million visitors a year and about 275,000 vehicles, 9% of them buses. The Citizens and Ratepayer Now Councillor Douglas Armstrong has criticised the Mayor and the Council in deviating from serious work and questioned the need for such a large-scale overhaul in view of burgeoning rate rises.
There is absolutely no need. It's just political correctness gone mad. Millions of people go up Mount Eden to use it as a great viewing platform for Auckland. And to say that it's actually eroding under our feet is absolute rubbish. That mountain, as I've said before, will still be round in 1 million years. Pedestrian traffic and vehicles driving up roads do not damage it. All we need to do is to pick up a bit more rubbish, tidy up some of the things that are there, but we don't need to take the measures that the Mayor thinks that we do need to take.
The Indian Nobel laureate Rabindranath Tagore and Bangladesh's national poet Qazi Nazrul Islam are the inspiration behind an evening of Bengali opera held on Sunday at the Centennial Theatre, Auckland Grammar School in Epsom. The event, which was in the Bengali language, was organised by the Prabasi Bengali Association of New Zealand in partnership with other Bengali and Bangladeshi groups. Prime Minister Helen Clark, Ethnic Affairs Minister Chris Carter, Auckland City Deputy Mayor Dr. Bruce Hucker spoke among others on the occasion.